Before we start, this episode was recorded live at 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio, where noseyAF goes live on the air every second and fourth Saturday of the month. What you're hearing is the conversation as it happened. No edits, no retakes. Still curious and very fun, but honestly, sort of scary. So settle in and enjoy this conversation on noseyAF. WLPN LP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio. Hi, Chicago. Happy New Year. I know I'll be the last person to say Happy New Year to you. We are here with Deirdre Fox. Hi, Deirdre.
Hi, Stephanie.
I'm so excited. Let me introduce Deirdre. So Deirdre is a Chicago-based artist and someone I've known and admired for over 10 years. Can you believe it's been so long?
I cannot believe it's a quick 10 years.
Yes, it certainly is. And Deirdre's work transforms plastic consumer packaging, things like single-use bags and containers, into drawings, fiberworks, and sculptural installations that asks us to slow down and reconsider what we throw away. Her practice sits right at the intersection of material, time, and environmental awareness, questioning permanence, disposability, and the systems that make waste feel invisible. Deirdre has exhibited widely, received multiple grants from the City of Chicago and the Illinois Arts Council, and maintains her studio at Manna Contemporary Chicago. So happy you're here, Deirdre.
So happy to be here, Stephanie.
I'm so excited. Welcome. How do you feel today? How has your 2026 gone so far?
Well, I ended last year with a cold, and it's seen me through this year. So I've spent the first week of it with my cold and sleeping a lot.
Oh, my goodness. Something's going around.
It is.
I hate that. Well, Deirdre, let's talk about your wonderful work. Now, you have described your work as visual poems.
Visual poetry.
Visual poetry. Can you talk us through what that means to you?
So from my perspective, we think of poems as being in writing and words and how words interact with each other and the sounds, more sounds. And I do something along that lines, but with the visual language. So I'm always thinking about the visual representation of something and how that impacts the next mark that I'm making, the next quasi-mark that I'm making in the work that I'm doing, and what that communicates overall. And I try to have I often have a little story in my head that is a little poem that I tell myself that I'm kind of writing at the same time that I'm making the piece of work. Those visual poems sometimes just go out the window, but there's something for how I think about the work and what I'm doing while I'm making the work. And at the end of the day, the title derives from those poems. That's think of it as a gesture, poetic moment.
Oh, I really like that. And you do this with plastic bags and bottles, single-use plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles, cardboard boxes, a lot of plastic bags. Most recently, I've been doing a lot more that's more singularly focused on the plastic bags and using them in integration with some actually hand-dyed fabrics and materials to look at that interaction between the two, sort of the organic, the non-organic, the more quasi-thought of being permanent to the thing that's never thought of as being permanent but is. Because those plastic bags last forever.
Right. Wait, but can you dye the plastic bags?
I don't dye the plastic bags. You can dye yarn.
Okay, sure.
Other fiber, other kinds of fiber. You can dye those. So I'm combining the two of them into my pieces.
Yeah. What drew your interest to plastic bags?
So funny story.
Okay.
Or maybe not so funny, maybe a little sad. I think of all my work as being doing drawing. And I was doing a lot of drawings once upon a time, years ago, with pigments, with dry pigments and all of that. And one of the things that I have a bad habit, and worse habit than that I do now, is drinking soda.
Okay.
So the empty bottles would just sort of pile up, and you'd look over and you'd say, "What are all those bottles doing over there?" In the
Yeah.
meantime, you hear things about the landfill, the Pacific Ocean, all the bottles floating around, plastic bags and everything floating in the Pacific Ocean. I thought, well, I ought to at least have a little bit of responsibility for my own consumption.
Yeah.
So I thought I should start to try to use some of those in my work.
Mm.
And my work wasn't really sculptural at the time, but when I started working with the plastic bottles, which is really what I started with, and I used the plastic bags as connectors between them, um, really it was more sculptural than it is now. But it was just started off as a way of kind of repurposing and trying to realize myself, like have myself slow down and think, what are you going to do with that? You can't just let that pile up or just get tossed out.
Yeah.
And then I think it becomes a mechanism to communicate or have that conversation with others. And yeah, I mean, so I just really started doing that. And I had a piece in the show at the Hyde Park Arts Center. That was kind of maybe one of the first big pieces that I did.
Mm-hmm.
That was all essentially woven plastic bags, and there was a big installation across the hallway. When you first came up to it, most people couldn't tell it was plastic bags, except the kids.
Oh,
The
okay.
kids would go up and say, "Mommy, it's plastic."
Yeah.
And then they'd start playing with it and moving it around, which I thought was both frustrating and adorable.
Yeah. Hey,
So
don't touch the art, kid.
you're not supposed to touch the art, but it is an art center.
Yeah.
And if
That's
you put
true.
it down low enough, I mean, it's fair. It's fair game, I think. But
Yeah.
you got to be gotta be mindful of both.
Mm-hmm.
But they would. I don't know what added to it. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would go and put it back
Yeah.
the way it was originally.
Yeah, it becomes interactive in that way.
But kids see right away. I
Mhm.
think is what I was trying to say, is kids look at really what they see. And we as adults, at least myself, I tend to look at what I expect to see.
Yeah.
So I think it's thinking about that as well in connection with how do we think about waste, because I think those ideas are connected.
Yeah.
Everything, if you're attentive, I think you're going to be more mindful and less, less wasteful, I guess.
Do you think that the work has your own relationship to waste improved, or while you're working with these materials, you think, or is it about the same, or
No, it's improved.
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely improved. First of all, I repurpose a lot of what I have.
sure.
So that definitely improves it already.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink as much soda anymore, so I don't have
Okay.
as much of that anymore.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think it does make me more mindful.
Yeah, that's good. We should all be more mindful around waste and everything. And can you just for the listener to sort of be able to visualize your work, can you pick a piece and describe it? No, we didn't talk about that, but maybe it might be helpful.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Um,
It's braided bags. I feel like
yeah,
it's braided or
yeah,
knitted.
they're
Crochet.
I use various domestic techniques that I
Mhm.
learned from my mom once upon a time.
Mm.
But by that, I just mean crocheting, weaving. Now, weaving, I have studied a little bit more recently. I didn't actually learn that from my mom, but weaving and knitting and just braiding, tying, those kinds of things, um, to as a construction tool to make the forms. So it's just it's just like weaving with yarn. It's just like weaving with or crocheting with yarn or what have you, except that you're making the yarn out of the plastic essentially, and then working with it. And then I do some work on the loom, but a lot of what I do on makeshift looms that I just sort of put together,
Hmm.
up on the wall or with sticks or however I do it, and, I construct it as I go. The whole process is you asked me to describe one, and so I'm not really doing that right now, I realize. But, if you were to see a piece, it would and you could see them, on Instagram or online or what have you. Um, it's a textile. It'll look like a textile. Now, they didn't always look like textiles. They used to look like string drawings or line drawings, and they would fill up a whole space, and the space itself was part of the work. So
Okay.
how the lines interacted and made forms with the corners in the wall, you can get a dimensional aspect with how you arrange things on a wall in the room and how it all connects together. And that was part of the work because that's a bit immersive
Mm-hmm.
at that point in time, and it requires you to engage with the work. Um, the work that I'm doing most immediately right now will look like a textile. It'll look like a shaped textile. So it'll have different shapes and form that they're not like just pure rectangles or anything like that. So you can have parts sticking out. You can have some parts coming out from the wall, and it will have different colors or what have you in there and have a spatial effect. But kind of like a weird cross between a painting and a sculpture.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of painting and drawing construction ideas in my work because I do consider them all to be drawing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a helpful description.
No, I think it was helpful. It's interesting that you see them as drawings. How come?
Because they are.
Yeah. I just feel like they're like, I think when I think of drawing, I just feel, and this is maybe because I don't have that much experience with drawing, but I just think of like on the paper, like 2D, but these you can like touch. They're like off the wall. So
you can think of drawing as, the actual process of making a line on a piece of paper, which is kind of what you're thinking, or the result of that. But it's also a way of how you see in a hand-eye coordination thing and what you're trying to do with how other people see space. Because the line's going to sit in space in a certain, and you can play with how that happens, both on a surface when you put something on a surface, but then you can make the surface itself an element of the drawing.
Okay.
And I think of these lines that I make as being the elements of the drawing, and I build them from there.
Yeah.
So I do actually think, even though you wouldn't necessarily look at all of the pieces and think it's line drawing, they all are kind of constructed from the idea of line drawing.
I see. Because do you think of it before you start? Do you like know what you're going to do, or is it sort of improvisational?
It's improvisational through process.
Okay.
And looking. So I'm looking for different visual effects that I'm targeting when I'm making the work. The same way you might think of somebody who's actually drawing, thinking about where they're putting the marks on the piece of paper to create a different effect between how those marks relate to each other. Or a painter, even how the colors relate to each other. So that's what I'm thinking about. At the same time, there's a poetic aspect in them, so I'm thinking, how is it playing into what I'm trying to do poetically? And then I'll stop and I'll study them for a while, and then I'll come back and go at them again. A lot of my work actually is just sitting and staring at my own work, which I find hysterical. But they build, and then they reach a point where they're done.
Okay.
I learned this line when I was in school, when I was in art school at the Art Institute, School of the Art Institute, that Cezanne used to say, every mark should finish the drawing, should finish the painting, should finish it. And each one from the beginning to the end.
Wow.
And I really believe that. I don't think it works perfectly, but from a way of how you make work and how you think about what you're putting down or in the space or whatever you call your canvas, I think that kind of really works. I mean, I think if everything is being completed by each thing, but because I'm weaving or crocheting, that would be very small things. So I do have to expand it out into a bigger something.
It's funny that you say that, a piece of your process is like just staring at the work.
A lot of it is.
Yeah, a writer was, there was a writing teacher I had who was like, you want to see how I write? And then he like just went and stood in the corner with his arms folded. He's like, a lot of times this is really how I write. He like had his arms folded and was like just looking around, like thinking. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But that's so true, right? Because you have to think about what you're going to do and you want to be intentional.
Yeah. And you got to look at it. I mean, I guess making art is a great meditation.
Yeah.
I mean, you are very much present. I feel when you're making art, you're very present.
Yes.
With your work and the space in which you're working and the whole thing. And there could be a lot going on in your head somewhere around here, but you're very present in that moment.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's funny. I did a residency at Ragdale, and I was doing different work at the time, and nobody thought I was doing anything except going out to look at the prairie. And doing my crossword puzzles and chit-chatting with people. But at the end of the residency, I had all this work to display for when we had people come through. Like, when did you make all this? I'm like, well, I do a little, and then I go out and walk around the prairie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just my process, is to take those thinking spaces. So staring at the wall or staring at the blank space. I love white walls.
Yeah.
And, and an artist shouldn't say that. 'Cause
You
we
don't
should
think
encourage
so?
people to put art on their walls.
Sure.
But I love art. I love white walls.
Yeah.
It's all there ready to
And there is
come.
that thought with, like, folks are like, "Oh, like, the white cube gallery, like, blah, blah, blah," like, it gets poo-pooed sometimes, if you could say that word, like but I like it.
I like it.
I think it looks
Yeah.
slick.
I mean, I like rough spaces too.
Yeah,
I
of
mean, I
course.
think anything like just looking at things,
Yeah.
just looking can be pretty amazing.
I like we did a residency together
We
in Pooch
did. Pooch
Cove.
Cove. I love Pooch Cove.
Yes, you worked similarly that way too.
I
You
did.
did a little bit, and then you were always
I was always gone.
gone. I'm like, "Deirdre, where are you?" And you were like, "I'm on a walk. I'm on a walk. I just came back from a walk." Um, Pooch Cove was a breakthrough for you,
It
right?
was. It
Tell us
was.
about that. Tell us about that.
So prior to Pooch Cove, well, first of all, for a little while, I had been sick, so
Okay.
I was getting back into things. But putting that aside, I had been thinking and working towards one of the problems I had with my artworks, or one of the issues, not a problem, one of the issues I had is that it was very installation based, and it kind of required me to install it, or to provide very detailed instructions and deal and live with that space where somebody's translating your instructions to put it up, and you gotta be okay with that space because it's not gonna be the same as what you're expecting or what have you, because everything's gonna be a little bit different with somebody else doing it. So I was trying to think of how can I make some more object-like work, which was kinda how we get to the textiles. And when we were out in Pooch Cove and on my walking and everything, one of the things you may remember, we went and looked at the icebergs.
Sure.
And they were so beautiful. It was
Yeah.
almost like I took all these pictures of the icebergs. I came back to the studio, I'm like, "Well, okay, I'm just gonna make an iceberg." A
Okay.
big, giant, abstract iceberg,
Yeah.
which I think is about the only thing I worked on while I was there that got it finished. But it was all out of plastic bags, it was all woven, and the whole process of constructing it and working a lot with different whites,
Mhm.
white this kind of white, that kind of white, a little bit of blue and green here, but this putting all of that together just opened up a whole world to me.
Mm.
It really did. So, my work has been building off of that since.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Off of the iceberg
Off of
work
the iceberg, well, and the way
and the
of doing it, the
shapes
way
and
I was looking at doing it.
okay. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So, a process, kind of a process.
Do you have a name for your process? Sometimes people coin their process. Is that your
I
style?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I just think of them as drawings.
Yeah.
Someone once told me it wasn't me. Someone once said my work was, quote, "mild cubism."
Okay.
And that's because it is uses cubist techniques or analytical cubist techniques of thinking about space and working with it. But I always smooth everything out. I don't like things to be sharp. So he's like, well, it's mild. So it's mild cubism. I'm like,
Okay.
I'll go with it. I don't know.
Thinking of mild cubism, do you feel like more aligned with art history traditions or with contemporary artists that are like working today and material based?
It kind of both, I
Mhm.
think. I mean, I do still look a lot at Cezanne and Cubism. Um, I look at Robert Ryman a lot because of the white on white. I just love the white on white right
Mhm.
now. But I also look at Sheila Hicks and Sheila Pepe, and I love Judy Pfaff.
Mhm.
So I think it's a combination
Yeah.
of them.
Do you go out and look at work a lot?
Not as much as I should.
Okay.
I try. I try. I do go out and look at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other besides the icebergs, like where you might draw inspiration from?
Oh, you mean besides well, I do draw a lot from nature.
Yeah.
And not just nature, but even just architectural, like just spaces, like just even walking down a city street,
Yeah.
you can see how the bricks and the walls and how everything orients towards itself and what you can see through spaces. One
Mhm.
of my favorite thing to do is just kind of drive and you watch the land going through the poles and stuff like that, and you can see the views changing as going through the poles.
Yeah.
I love that. So
Yeah,
it's
that is fun.
and a little bit like trying to capture that sense, I guess, walking around. So that's one thing. I read a lot,
Okay.
and I read it. I love poetry, so I do read a lot of poetry. I love the sound of words,
Okay.
so which is part of why I like poetry. But I'm not a good poet myself, so that's kind of why the visual aspect of it is I think in many ways better suited to me.
When you say you like the sound of poetry, do you like to listen to poetry too, like be recited?
I do, but I just like how words work with each other.
Mm.
So I can do it I can do it in my own head. I can't actually recite, just like I can play the piano, but I can't actually hear it right.
Yeah.
Kinda tone deaf,
Uh-huh.
actually, which I think is a weird contradiction, um, but I like the way words work with each other,
Yeah.
and the rhythm of words, um
Yeah. Words are really cool in that way for people who can put it together. I don't have that skill,
uh,
but I am impressed with writers and poets and
but I can't recite a poem to save myself.
okay.
I really can't, 'cause I think I'm very flat when I do it. I can't, externalize
Mm.
the rhythm when I'm saying it, I guess is what I'm saying.
I see. Yeah, I've gone to poetry readings and all of that, and I'm always in like, wow. I'm pretty sure the poets have practiced, but
Some of them.
it just feels like they're just reading off of just like picking a page out of a book and reading it, and it just feels like it just flows so easily.
I think for some of them it does, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that people do practice.
Krista Franklin comes to mind, the artist
Yeah,
Krista Franklin,
yeah.
hearing her read from her work, and I'm just like, you said that your mother taught you to knit
She taught
or
me
crochet.
she taught me the crochet.
What's the difference between I always get them
So,
mixed up.
crocheting's one needle,
Yeah,
and you do everything on one needle, and you're kinda hooking it around the fabric.
okay.
Knitting's the 2 needles, and you're working between the fabric from one needle to the other. They're just
Oh,
different methodologies of doing it.
okay.
Some people like one versus the other better. I actually like crocheting better. I think probably because I have small hands,
Mhm.
and it's a little bit easier for me to control.
I wondered if there was, like, a gang, if there's, like, the knitting gang and the crochet gang, and they, like, battle each other.
I think yeah. I could just see that. Let's do that. Let's set that up.
Yeah.
The battle. Let's do
Yes.
the battle of the battle of the needles.
Make a hat, let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Now I don't actually tend to make real things
Mhm.
because that takes more. I'm not good at seeing something through that way. I would
Yeah.
start to want to turn it into an art project.
It's just cool that your mother taught you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She used to make my mom was really good. She used to make these, she could make all these little animals,
Oh,
these
okay.
wild, fantastical creatures.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she was all over the place in what she could make,
Wow.
crocheting and knitting, and she also sewed a lot. I can't really sew that well, but she sewed a lot and all that. She could make amazing things.
And you grew up one of 6 kids,
I did.
right? How has that, like, shaped your perspective as an artist?
Well, you always have to be vocal
Okay.
to be seen.
Where's your order in the 6?
I'm second oldest.
Oh, okay.
And we were all basically a year apart. There's one gap of there's an extra year in between one of them.
Okay.
But we're very close. We're very close together in age. So you're kinda like a little gang of 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just partly appreciation for getting your own quiet time. You have to make your own quiet space because it wasn't gonna occur unless you made your own quiet space, and
Yeah.
drawing was one of the ways that I did that. Drawing and reading, writing
Okay.
was one of the ways I did that. So I think that was part of it. And also I think, just the general exuberance and boisterousness of being around a lot of kids when you're growing up. You always had that little group.
Yeah.
So I think that too, but I don't know if that affected my art. It probably did because everything about you affects your art.
Yeah. And you like to, well, you'll be, like, out and about with folks, or you'll have your own, like, private studio time, right? It'll be
Yeah,
quiet.
yeah,
Yeah. I think being an only child, I'm really used to the quiet, but then also I've noticed that there's been times where I, like, try to, like, make sound, like,
yeah,
around me,
yeah.
but, like, as I've gotten older, if I'm like, "Oh, there's nothing on TV I wanna watch," I just turn the TV off versus, like, trying to keep on something in the background, you know?
I do that too. I used to
Yeah.
keep things on in the background, I think because I was used to noise.
Yeah.
So I used to keep things on in the background. Now I just like to turn it off and be okay with the quiet.
Right, and
I think
just
the
enjoy
quiet's okay,
yourself.
like, enjoy the quiet,
Yeah, right?
you know?
I feel
It's
like
weird, I don't listen I mean, Sherry, my
Mhm.
studio mate, listen and you know Sherry,
Yes.
she listens to, music as she works,
Mhm.
or a podcast or something. I don't, for the
Mm.
most part. I work is quiet,
Yeah.
which I find funny, but it just is.
I do too. I feel like even when I'm like setting up like a lighting setup or whatever, like if people request it, like, oh, can we have music? I'm always like, oh, sure. Otherwise, yeah, it's just like,
You're like,
I don't
"Oh."
think about it. Like they're probably like, what is wrong with this person? Like she has no music on, no podcast. But yeah, I like the quiet too.
I mean, I think it's nice to listen to music, but, like,
Yeah.
that's what you're doing then is listening to the music,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. We're not multitasking here.
Yeah, I'm not a good multitasker.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love that. Well, sometimes like, wait, in your work, do you see like a line between object and art? Or like, does that exist when you were like trying to make the more object work?
Yeah. So, I think art describes them all,
Yeah.
but I do think some work is more object-based in that you create a painting.
Mm-hmm.
The painting is an object. It's a physical object up and down the wall or what have you. Assuming you've, put it on canvas or something, or you've put it on aluminum or whatever you put it on, you haven't put it directly on the wall. If you paint directly on the wall, now it's a painting, but it's not an object per se.
Yeah.
So I think there's that, and I think objects are movable. You can put them more easily from one place to another.
Yeah.
But they also then in that way, it's kind of interesting with how they adapt to new spaces. And I kind of struggle with that a little bit. I like resist the objects. So this is why I tried to make objects.
Yeah.
Because I always want to play with, is it an object? Is it on the wall? Is it off the wall? What's going to, I don't know, weird that way.
Yeah. Can you move things around?
Can you move things around? And I do make my work out of, I mean, it's funny, even I would make, quote, objects, but they would be part of the larger work, and they wouldn't be an object in and of themselves. Because I'm working with physical materials, so by
Sure.
definition, they're going to be some kind of object. A bottle is a bottle.
Yeah.
It is an object. So it's just kind of like, is it an object that somebody else can just take and put in place and say, okay, now that's still the same art that it was before?
Right.
And I was trying to make work that was more like, okay, this is this in this space, and you can just move it, and it is that in another space. It's still somewhere else. It'll be a little bit different, but I'm not making any sense.
No, it is making perfect sense. It
So
makes me think of like a mural in your home, and then if you move,
yeah,
and
what
you're
do you
like,
do with it?
you can't take that mural.
Yeah,
And then the new homeowners, what if they paint over it?
and they will a lot of times. So that's why a lot of mural artists make a false wall or put it on canvas and put it
Yeah.
up. A lot of it's not directly for
It's
a
just
reason.
so scary. Yeah, I just think about that. I have a friend who's been doing these murals, and I'm like, oh yeah, you should come and, do a mural at my place. She's just looking for wall space. And I'm like, I hope, if I was to leave this place, the people would keep this up because it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it's very pretty. So it just, yeah, objects and murals but, so like, let me ask you a fun question. If you weren't making art, what else could you see yourself doing?
I could be I could be an astronaut.
You could be an
An
astronaut?
astronaut.
I would love that.
I always wanted to be an astronaut.
So when everyone recently, like Katy Perry and everyone went to space.
Oh, I'd love to go. I can't afford that.
Yeah.
But somebody else would pay and take me up
Oh,
there.
of course.
I would
Yeah,
do
no.
it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I think it'd be so amazing to look back, to be able to look out at space and look out at the Earth.
Yeah.
Like you looking, not pictures of it. I think it'd be stunning.
I remember in grade school we had space ice cream. Have you ever had the astronaut ice cream?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, Deirdre, I'll have to find some
Oh.
for you. It's like the freeze-dried ice cream that the astronauts could eat, and they would give it to us, and it was Neapolitan, and I feel like they had some other ones, but it's like, why would you want to have like astronaut pizza when you can have astronaut ice cream? It
There
was
you go.
very, very good.
I'm sure the astronauts felt the same way too. Why would they have the pizza if they could have the ice cream?
That's what I was thinking, It's like, yeah. So we have like maybe about 2 minutes before we have to take a break, but I was curious, like, you said your work references oral storytelling traditions. I don't know where I got that from. Is that true? Or did I make that up?
I think you might have made that up.
I might have made it up. Oh,
Or I might have said it once upon a time about something I was doing.
yeah. Well, then what was the moment you realized you couldn't let drawing go? like as you were coming up as an artist and that
Yeah.
you were taking it seriously.
So that's kind of a long story. I don't know if your 2 minutes is gonna hold it, but
Okay.
I'll start it.
Okay.
So as I think you might have mentioned earlier, I have an engineering background, a legal background, and I do the arts.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, my parents were really focused on education that got you jobs.
Okay.
Like reliable, steady, whatever. Hence engineering and law.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a while. But I always did the drawing, kind of. I was just drawing. I just wasn't doing it. Wasn't doing it to do anything with it. And I reached a certain point in time where I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this? I like it. At that point in time, my dad, who was a lawyer, was getting older,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried to get him to go back to his hobbies.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, continue after the break.
Okay, let's just take a quick break
Sorry.
and then we'll be right there. It's a cliffhanger. I think
It's a
good. I think
cliffhanger.
it's good to do. Okay. Real talk. How many opportunities have you bookmarked and never applied to? I know I have, and you know what? It happens. The admin part of the work we're doing is understandably boring and tedious. But when you neglect it, it can cost you real opportunities. That's why I created Artist Admin Hour, because behind every exhibition is a clear budget submitted that makes sense. Admin is the flex. It's the work that makes the work work. But you don't have to do it alone. Every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Central, artists show up on Zoom to tackle what we've been avoiding. Residency applications, grant apps, budgets, invoices, whatever's on your list. 2 hours of body doubling with structure, no shame, and real community. $25 to $45 a month gets you in. But if that's not doable, email me, because getting this done is very important. We will make it work. Stop letting admin sabotage your practice. Join us today at artistadminhour.com. WLPN LP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio. Okay, we are back. And listener, before we left, we were left with a cliffhanger as Deirdre was telling us when you started to take drawing seriously.
Yes. So, my dad was also a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere along the way, he had stopped doing things that he was good at in art, photography, drawing, and he was really good. His old work was fantastic. So we were trying to get him to go back to start doing it. And it was so hard to get him to go back. And I think it was because part of it was because he let so much time and space go between when he had been doing it or doing anything with it. And here he was at a point in time in his life where he ought to be able to enjoy going back and starting to do some of that, and just couldn't get him to do it. He passed away. And I think I was like,
sorry.
wow, okay, I need to do something.
Yeah.
So
it made you say,
time. It made me take the time to do it. So I took time away from law, and I went and took classes at the School of the Art Institute. And I was really focused on trying to find my voice, which I managed to do now.
Okay, nice. How long did that take?
Oh, it's still working on it.
Okay.
Well, in the beginning, it was funny. When I first took the time to do work, I was doing just a lot of representational. I could draw a good likeness. I was doing a lot of representational work, and I had some light bulb moments along the way. Some of which was Cubism, some of which was a couple of really good teachers that kind of opened my eyes to abstraction and connection with representation and all of that. And I don't know, I had some mind shifts in the middle of that and ended up where I am now.
Yeah, that's also like really nice, like a tribute, right, to your father maybe. Like, look, I'm doing it,
Yeah.
Taking it seriously. And yeah, I feel like, it's wild how moments like that will like make folks do stuff where they're like, look and be like, you know what, I'm just going to start doing things.
Yeah.
A reality show I was watching, the woman thought that she was like, she was being a stay-at-home mom, which she was enjoying, but she knew she wanted to pursue real estate. And she's like, you
Yes.
know what? And she just got up. She's like,
Yes.
I just need to go and enroll in school. She's like, and I'll figure it out. So, yeah, but it was like a jump like that, just like you, to just go ahead and get started. Yeah. Did you do like a bachelor's program or master's program then at that point? Or?
So I ended up doing, I think it was 2 years
Okay.
of class and other things, and I got a bachelor's from it.
Okay.
But it was more about getting the just the time and the space and learning different ways of doing things. I did a lot of animation work,
Okay.
so I had time to explore that. I did some printmaking.
Would you go back to animation? I could see your work
Yeah,
going into that.
I've done it a few times. I
Yeah?
haven't managed to get it to do what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was a little while where I was doing more animation.
Okay. I think animation is really cool. I went to a film screening with a young lady who had just I wish I could think of her name, but I can't. Sorry, y'all. But she had just learned animation. It was like documentary animation,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, I never even heard of that. And she was new and had made a short, and I thought it was cool. But I think your work could be really cool in animation.
Yeah, I did try for a little while. I like the fluidity that you can get with animation, but animation is a slow process
Yeah.
in the making because you're going shift by shift by shift, cell by cell or what have you. It's it's both drawn out and shrunken down when you're doing it,
Yeah.
and I haven't quite figured that out yet in terms of what I wanna do, the process of doing that, and what comes out the other side.
What does like going to the studio look like for you, like a day in the studio?
Okay, well,
Besides, is it sitting? I guess we talked about
a
it.
lot of it's sitting
Yeah.
or standing.
Yeah.
I don't always sit. I stand a lot.
Uh-huh.
I do stand a lot.
Okay.
But, okay, so I will arrive at the studio,
Uh-huh.
and first before I arrive at the studio, I'll go and get a soda.
Okay.
I do have a soda.
For your materials, you have to get one.
Not for my materials, for me
No.
to drink. I'll have my soda, and, I'll sit down, and then I'll look at my work. When I
Mhm.
get in the studio, I spend a lot of time looking at my work and look around the studio, look at my work, look out. We have a beautiful view. I'm at Mana Contemporary up on
Mhm.
the 6th floor, and we have an amazing oops,
No,
sorry, hitting
you're
the
all
mic.
good. You're all good.
But we have an absolutely amazing view. Across the way, there's, like an old electrical facility,
Mm.
and it's got all these all these lines, the electrical wiring lines across and everything,
Yeah.
and I will oftentimes spend a lot of time just staring at those,
Mm.
because they're lines, and
Yeah.
they break up space, and then I will gear myself up to go and work on a piece, and I'll start to work on it, and, for a little bit, and then I'll step back from it, and there'll again be time and space with
Uh-huh.
with myself and looking. I might get up and
Get up, walk around. I
come
love
back
it.
to it. It's kind of a back and forth like
Back
that.
and forth.
Sherry will come in, we'll talk for a while.
I love that.
I don't know, it's kind of meditative.
Yeah, no, it sounds meditative, sounds relaxing.
And every once in a while, I'll clean up the studio, but
Yeah.
my studio's not the neatest, but
You know what? It is what it is.
it is.
Right?
It's
As
lived
long as
in.
you can get through. Yeah, that's right. Lived in, period. That sounds good to me. And you don't ever like make a journal. Like I know I've seen like artists like make a journal of like what they've done or where they'll start, where they pick up when next.
Yeah, I don't do that. I do write down things I think about,
Mm-hmm.
either after I've done a little bit of work or before I go to sleep that night or something. I'll put some stuff in my phone or something. I'll write scribbly little notes. And I do take pictures. So I was
Okay.
gonna say, I'll take pictures as I'm working, and at the end of the day, I'll unplug the lights and I'll unplug the heater, and I will just sort of sort myself time to go, and then I'll go around and I'll take pictures,
Okay.
which will require me to plug the lamp back in, which I'll
Right.
do. But I don't like to leave things plugged in, but I take a lot of pictures and from different angles, and I do videos too, but I take a lot of pictures from different angles. So then I might not look at those pictures for a while, but that capturing the picture sort of captures that moment for me. And
Yeah.
then I have more than one piece going on at a time, so sometimes it's just going back and forth between them.
Do you ever take a time lapse of you working? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, the only time, when I had a show at, Ads Donna, the person who curated Yunshin, she
Uh-huh.
took a time lapse of me installing. It was installation kinda work, and so I was kinda making it as I was putting it up, and she took a time lapse of that.
Did you like it?
I did like it,
Yeah.
actually.
I feel like that could be, like, sort of form of animation in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah, just like, I'm making robot hands.
I saw that, but nobody else did.
What do you think has, like, surprised you most about where your art has taken you?
Oh, I don't know. I think I guess for all practical purposes, it does kinda surprise me that I don't make anything that's particularly representational anymore.
Mm.
Other than the iceberg is representational,
Yeah.
but it's still very abstracted.
Yeah.
So, I think it's that, I like representational work, but I got away from doing that, and I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, have you
I don't know
thought
why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Maybe a challenge, an exercise. I was gonna ask, like, if you're interested in any other mediums like photography or
Well,
I
I
mean, I
do
know poetry, but
yeah, I mean, I do like animation.
sure.
I like taking pictures. I'm
Mhm.
not a good photographer, but I like taking pictures. I did glass work. I would go back and do more glass work, I guess. I
Okay.
like blowing glass.
You've done that?
Yeah, it was a
Wow,
lot of fun.
it seems like it is.
But it's also something that it takes a lot of doing it to get good at it. So you have to have that focus to do it, I think, for a period of time. And it's also something that depends on other people's schedules because it's just not I mean, at least the way I was doing it, you were putting it in the factory, you were doing the blown glass, putting it to the hot furnace, the glory hole or what have you. You
Mhm.
needed other people to help you. It was a group kind of effort.
There was that recent news story of that woman who, like, swallowed a piece of her that
Oh,
glass straw.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so now I'm afraid to I was watching, like, I was, like, down a rabbit hole of, like, watching people throw away glass straws.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was
Oh, no.
scary, but yeah, but I'm still interested in blowing glass. I'm sure that
So
wouldn't
I did it with Oxbow. I highly recommend Oxbow for
Okay.
any of these things. It
Mhm.
was up in Michigan. I think they actually just opened up, Chicago, local Chicago, at
Oh.
least place where work will be shown or something.
Oh, okay.
I thought I saw that. But anyhow, I did a glass blowing class up there. I thought it was a blast. I loved it.
Hmm.
It is a little scary because you are walking around with
Yeah.
molten glass hanging off the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a little bit scary to do it from that perspective, but it's also really neat.
It is
Um,
really neat. I've gone down many a rabbit hole watching, folks make ornaments for the holidays, and also in October, there was a glass blowing company making pumpkins for people,
ooh.
and
I
those
think
were
it's a
really
beautiful
cool.
material too.
Yeah.
And I've done clay. I would
Mm.
do more ceramics.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing ceramics.
Yeah.
But I again, you have to divide your time up
No, of
between
course.
your time and energies up, so
Yeah. How do you, like, balance your time out? Do you have any tips for us all trying to manage our time as artists and makers and
well, I think
parents and people out here?
I'd like to say keeping a schedule.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily that good, so I would say keeping a schedule for periods at a time. So I'd be say keeping a schedule, but being flexible to be able to adjust that schedule.
Yeah.
So blocking a schedule, at least a month or a couple months at a time
Yeah.
for when you're actually just gonna go in. Because I do think it's important to make work even when you don't feel like making the work.
Mhm.
So I think that's a piece of it.
Yeah.
And I think the hard thing is you're balancing that against your day job, your life, your family, and then all the administrative things that come along with being an artist.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
doing a lot of writing and applications and going and seeing work, and there's a lot of administrative kind of things that come along with it. And
Yes.
I think that's part of the hard thing about doing the balance is you're also trying to balance that in with the time that you spend in the studio.
I've said this before, but the hardest thing for me is social media. Are you into social media?
I do
Like
some,
Yeah.
and it is hard. It's hard to
Mhm.
keep it going, and it's hard to have enough content. Like, where do you
Yes.
get your content?
I know, I'm so sick of that word. Content.
I
Oh
know,
my
but or
gosh.
what you're gonna say,
I don't know what you would call it. I guess that is what you call it, but
I mean, And I think I only post maybe I post once a week or once every 2 weeks or
That's
something
pretty
like that.
good.
Because my work is also very slow to make. That is actually you asked me what was really surprising. My work used to be a lot faster to make,
Yeah.
but, I mean, it was really fast to make, but now when I've gotten into more of the weaving kind of work and it's all really slowed down, and it takes me forever to make work now.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, that was very painful. I was like, "This is going nowhere." Like, you go in the studio and you work and I've gotten this, 2 by 2 inch square done.
Yeah.
That's and you're like, "Okay, this will never get finished." That I think is a challenge, but I do think it helps, again, still to block the time to go in there and to have the time set up to do it.
Do you work on one piece at a time, or do you have, like, a few going at a
I
time?
work on more than one at a time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll have 2 or 3 things going. I also have stuff hanging in my studio for a long time, so I will have a piece up that I will have started in 2023 or 24, and it'll be up there. I'm like, "Oh, I could do something to that," and I might do
Oh,
something to that.
really? Okay.
And I think my work can change, so I think both my individual pieces can change, and I like how they work together,
Mhm.
so sometimes it's like making connectors between them.
I sort of admire that. I think that that's sorta cool that you can, like, keep going back to that. I think, like, with the photograph, especially if it's, like, a portrait, it's
Yeah,
like,
it's done.
boom, and you're done. And once that your subject has left, there's no I mean, I guess I could try to call him back, but, schedules and stuff, it's like, you
Yeah,
better get it right then and there.
once you've taken all your images. I mean,
Yeah.
you could play a lot with it in Lightroom, I guess, but
Yeah.
I'm not a photographer, so
No, yeah, no, it's done, it's over, it's like,
I
that's it.
I can't sketch, so it's funny, like, I make my pieces as I'm making them.
Mhm.
I'm not very good, occasionally I do it, but I'm not very good at doing a sketch of what a piece might be,
Okay.
because all the work that goes into making the sketch, the piece is made, it's come out of me.
Yeah.
It's not there to put it into the
It's
piece.
like one of one.
It's one of
You
one.
can't repeat it.
Yes.
Once it's done, it's done.
Yes.
Well, that's sort of nice.
I guess,
Everyone knows who takes home a Deirdre Fox piece knows that they have a one
and
of
that's the
one.
piece. It's not
That's
gonna be
it.
copied.
That's really good.
Even by me,
Right, you can't yeah, that's it.
because I wanna do something else with it.
Right. I was gonna ask because of your interest in, using the single-use, bags and the plastic bottles and whatnot, like, just what you might want to see for just how we, as, like, a world, I guess, is better with
Yeah.
waste.
I think in a perfect world, I wouldn't have any of those materials to
Yeah.
use, and I'd have to adjust because
Mhm.
people wouldn't be using those materials anymore.
Yeah.
Some of these things we need containers, and there are trade-offs, in different kinds of materials. I mean, you can use glass. Glass, if it doesn't break, lasts longer, but glass is heavy, so when it
Yeah.
has to be transported around, like lots of bottles of glass, that's gonna be more of a carbon footprint
Yeah.
than the plastic is. So there are definitely trade-offs, I think, in all of these things, and so I think it's just important to be thinking about it and mindful about it as you're going through. But yeah, I mean, I think there'd be less single-use items,
Yeah.
or people would be aware that they're single-use, so they'd be more mindful about what other purposes can they put it to. I mean, you can take a lot of, plastic containers, like the yogurt containers or whatever, you can use those to store things.
Yeah.
Even as simple as that, clean them out,
Mhm.
use them for storage. Now, plenty of people do that, but I think it's always worth repeating
Yeah.
that recycle doesn't mean you can reuse too.
Mhm.
I think recycling's hard because you don't necessarily know where your recycling's going. So,
Yeah. I know, I've been thinking about that as I pull out the recycle can every week, like, is this good? Like, and I'm always trying to reduce my own
yeah,
waste, And, I do that too with the yogurt and all of that, and I'll send people home with food and all of that in them, and I had a friend in their apartment building, they have a table where people will give
put
things
things to
up.
take up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he had a bunch of those containers from, like, taking food home, and he's like, "What should I recycle these?" I'm like, "You should put those on that table," and he didn't think that they were gonna be taken, but they were taken. I'm like, "Yeah, 'cause people always need
People need
containers
they
of
need
where to
things.
put things."
Yeah.
And I think about the plastic bags, I'll use those as, like, garbage bags in my bathrooms and whatnot, but I'm like, "Is that good?" Because I don't know, because then I'm still throwing it away with waste, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think plastic bags are the plastic bags are harder because the single-use plastic bags are hard because if you use it to put the garbage in, then it's now in a landfill.
Yeah.
So, now they're much better now. I mean, they're making more compostable bags now. I mean, I've seen now that, for example, you have the bags that you use to scoop up after your dog. I think a lot of those are now biocompostable or biodegradable or whatever. So I think that's also another thing to look at.
Yeah.
In terms of what you're using, and this. You have the single-use bags, but then you also have the produce bags in stores. So there's the bags you use to carry the stuff, and then there's the produce bags to protect the food independently or separately protect the food.
Sure.
And so I think all of these things are just being mindful and trying to look for other ways. Do you have to put the produce into the little bag? Or can you just, have a separate little bag you put and just put the produce in there after when you ring it up or something?
Yeah.
So I think there's things that you can think about from that perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be a complete idealist, but in a perfect world, some of this stuff wouldn't be here for me.
Yeah.
The plastic bags are bad. The single-use ones are bad because they gum up the machine. If they get into the recycling places, they gum up the rollers.
Oh, man.
And so it slows down the actual recycling process for plastic recycling because then they're so thin they have to get them out of there. They jam things up.
That's why they always want you to return the plastic bags to the grocery store.
Yes, to the grocery store, and which you can, which is great.
Yeah.
When I started doing work with plastic bags and plastic bottles, that wasn't a thing. You didn't have a place at the grocery store.
Oh, really?
So those bins where you can just go and put all your plastic bags at the store, do that.
Yeah, I need to make sure I do that more.
And a lot of the plastic has numbers on it.
Oh, it does?
And the city of Chicago, number 1 and number 2, you'll look, there's like a little arrows going around.
Oh, right, their little recycle thing.
1 and 2 are recyclable. 5 is not. So if you have a 5 on there, don't put that in the recycle.
Yeah.
Reuse that. That's your yoga things. Just reuse those. Clean them out and reuse them.
They should make, that might be a fun, like, little, Guerrilla Street sticker project, just like gentle reminders for people. Yeah. I know one time we goofed off, you and I talking that like grocery bags as a merch for you, like a reusable tote bag or something.
Yeah.
That would be good. Not to make you a consultant for me or anything like that, but it's always just like, I'm always just curious how people think about this stuff because I'm always trying to think of it for myself, just to be a better person.
Yes, me too.
Yes. Well, like, what else do you want to work on next? Like, what else are you thinking about in your work?
Well, I'm pretty excited with how my work's going in the studio now. So I'm doing a lot of work to try to, I had the object work. I figure I got the object thing down. Now I'm really trying to bring the work out off the wall and dimensionalize it more. So I've started to do that, and that's kind of exciting.
When you say off the wall, do you mean like if it was pinned to the wall, like it's like hanging off, or like standalone, like in the center of a room?
No, I still like it having a wall thing it comes off of. I mean, I've hung work before too.
Yeah.
I like it having the wall. The wall situates it in a certain space. So I like that, but just kind of physically kind of coming out from the wall more.
I like that. And you did say you like white walls.
I love white wall.
Would you ever paint a wall a color and experiment that way, like a bright red?
Yeah, I thought about it. I keep thinking about it. I keep not doing it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. I haven't. Yeah. I think about it from time to time that, I should do that. And then I don't do it.
That might be a pain, though, in your studio, right? Because now you have to paint the wall to see if it works.
Yeah.
And...
I mean, I think you could put something up.
Yeah.
And paint that and then just work off of that. But last year I played a lot with lights and incorporating lights and lighting into it. And I still haven't reached a satisfying conclusion with that. So that's still in the works.
Okay. I like that. Would they be like marching lights, like the marching ant lights, or?
Well, they could be marching, they could be moving, but it's just like adding that extra dimension. And because of the way my work is, the light will make it project different shadows. And I've always used shadows in my work.
Yeah.
But actually putting the lights into the work, I've been working on.
I really like that idea. For some reason, when I think of adding lights to your work, it just makes me think of, like, those little, like, at Christmas time, those villages that people would put, like, the little cottages that would light up. I don't know why. I don't know why that comes to mind, but maybe because the lights, when we were talking about them, they were so little, it
Well, they were.
reminded me of
I was looking at the
those,
little
like, little
fairy
fairy
lights.
lights, yeah.
I was looking with little fairy lights, but I remember and I didn't like the colors.
Right.
You and I had this whole conversation about it at the time. I was like,
Yeah.
"I don't like the colors."
Yeah, because they were giving that, like, yellowy
Yes.
it wasn't like a white light.
Yes. But there are different colors.
Yeah.
So I just haven't finished with that.
It's a whole exploration.
So it's a whole thing. But then once you get the color,
Mhm.
then it's like, okay, what are you doing with the light?
Yeah.
Because I can't just put something there. I have to be doing something with it.
Right, it all has to be intentional.
Yes.
There has to be a reason for everything.
So I made some pieces that I liked.
Mhm.
I made other pieces I didn't like.
Yeah.
And I have not resolved where that is going. So, stay tuned.
Yeah, I love that. You have to, something else to stand thinking about, something else to take a walk and think about.
Yes, something else to walk and think about.
I just think that is so fun, Deirdre. Well, where can we find your work? I'm trying to think, like, what else you have going on, what other kind of fun questions I have about your work, because I feel like I've just known your work for so long, 10 years. We met at Creative Capital, a
I
Creative
know.
Capital event.
Down in was it Springfield or Champaign? It was
Champaign. Yeah, we met there, and, they said we were both downtown at the time. We had to have an accountability partner.
And you and I.
We've been accountability partners that long. That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive, and we're still talking.
Yes. Because people, they can be, like, flighty, like, people won't always wanna meet up and talk about work all the time, but I love art. I can nerd out about it all the time.
Well, you're very good about talking about your work.
I try, I like talking about just work, period.
Yeah.
Art and culture and stuff. It's a hobby, it's a hobby, and, well, no, it's not a hobby. I'm an artist. We're artists.
It's a
but
profession.
It's not a profession, thank you.
It's a profession, and it's a profession, and hobby's not the right word, but
No,
it
it's
is
not.
but it is a passion.
Passion, that's what it is, thank you.
Hobby's not the right word.
Yeah.
But I mean, for some people, it is a hobby. But,
Yeah.
But it's a profession for us. But it's a passion, too.
Mhm.
I mean,
I can nerd out about it all the time.
me too.
Yeah, it's
Me
my
too.
favorite thing. One of your other favorite artists, too, before we go, well, maybe they're not your favorite, but Eva Hesse?
Eva Hesse.
Eva Hesse.
Eva Hesse. Hesse.
Eva
I say Hesse. I say Hesse. Maybe it's Hesse.
Okay.
Hesse.
Yes.
I love her. I love her work. She made there are two of my most favorite pieces. One was by hers and one was Clifford Still, are in the in the Art Institute, the Chicago Art Institute. But she has that one piece, I think it's called Hang something or other, Hangover, I think it's called. And it's basically like a square, rectangular shape, square, like you would put a stretch painting on, and then she has this big wire thing coming out from around it. So the painting, it's like a painting going out into space and taking the space. I could look at that forever. You walk at that around and then you look at it from different angles, and it puts you in different spaces. And I think it's kind of an instrumental, iconic piece for me in terms of how I think about my work. So I'm saying I look at my work from different directions, and I think about what my work's going to look like from different directions and how it's going to shift in those directions as I'm making it. And that's a lot of what I'm trying to do in the work. So that piece is pretty seminal.
That was the question I was going to bring up. Do you ever do, like, collaborations with other artists?
I have a couple times.
Uh-huh.
But not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah.
Yeah. You?
I do, yeah. I feel like in filmmaking it sort of becomes collaborative because you can't do everything yourself, though I am interested in trying to do it myself, because I do know that there's filmmakers that will make work by themselves, but it seems tough. But I do like collaborating. even though it could be challenging, just because you're always working with you're making work, but then you're also working with another person. So it's like other schedules and other personalities, other things that come up. But
I did an exquisite corpse project, and that was with. I mean, I had 2 partners in that, and you were doing a piece, and then they were doing a piece, and then you were doing a piece, and reacting to each other's work, and that was interesting and fun. But it was a very controlled way of doing it. So your schedule is like, okay, you had a week to do whatever you were doing to somebody else's piece to integrate it or what have you. So I think it's a little different because you're still on your own time.
Yeah.
You're responding to it, but it's not actually a collaborative piece in the, so I don't know.
No sense. Yeah. Well, Deirdre, thanks so much for being. Where can we, find more information about your work?
So I have my Instagram.
Okay.
Deirdre _Fox_art.
Okay.
On Instagram. I have my website. My website's kind of under construction right now, being repaired, refixed, readjusted. Got to blast out again.
Another thing on the artist list to do.
It's on the administrative list.
Yes.
That's Art by Dado, ARTBYDADO.com. Dado being a horrible nickname my brothers used to call me, and I owned it back and put it as part of my art name, my art pen name. And I have my studio at Mana Contemporary in Pilsen, and anybody's welcome to come visit. Just send me a DM through Instagram. Would love to have you out there to actually see the work.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. Well, listener, we're at 3:00, and thank you so much for being here, Deirdre, and thank you, listener, for listening to noseyAF.
Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap on another episode of noseyAF, conversations about art, activism, and social change. I'm your host, Stephanie Graham. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening to the show. It helps new listeners discover it and say, hey, if these folks like this show, maybe I will love it too. Check out full show notes and transcripts at noseyAF.com. And while you're there, sign up for noseyAF Dispatch, a newsletter where every month I send a roundup of episodes, behind-the-scenes stories, studio tales, and interesting finds straight to your inbox. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay curious and take care. Bye.